Welcome back, humor consumers, to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
And I'm Catherine. Bestie.
I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
My bestie.
Yeah.
And I'm your bestie.
Yes.
How did we become besties, Catherine?
I would say really that not only because you moved in next door, but because we went on walks.
Yes,
I think that's where it really, where the seeds were planted and then bloomed.
Yeah. Walk in the neighborhood.
We would just walk and talk.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it started.
Yep. And that was in 2001.
Yeah.
That's when I moved in next to you. It was the day before 9/11. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And at that time, we had new babies, both of us.
Yeah.
Had babies that had been born
Just
in
weeks
May.
apart.
So they were just a few months old. And then I had a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a...
I don't know,
How old?
5...
4?
Well, let's see now. I guess it would be 4, 3, and
New.
new.
There you go. So we were in the throes of family life. The reason that we're bringing that up is because we may have new listeners to our podcast. So Catherine and I are just two best friends who bring some sort of fun topic to the podcast every week.
Right.
And we try to bring it to you in a fun and entertaining, engaging way. And we follow it by some spiritual inspiration.
Right. So there's purpose, too.
Absolutely.
To the podcast.
We don't do
hope.
too many things without purpose, do we? Maybe a little bit.
Well, here and there,
That's
which
true.
is okay.
Yeah. But this really does have purpose.
Yeah.
Inspiration. And our topic today is friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we would definitely just sort of give a little overview of how we met and how we became friends. I think because we shared the same season in life, it was easy to connect. Our kids played together and stuff like that.
That's true. That made it easier.
Yeah.
But you were easy to connect with.
True.
And
Everybody
I'm
wants
waiting
to be
for you
my
to say,
friend.
I'm waiting for you to say, and so were you.
Oh, so were you, Catherine. Yes.
Yeah.
So were you.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. And since then, so that was, how many years ago was it? 20?
Oh, gosh. 22?
No. This is 2021. And it was
Oh,
20.
yeah.
It was
Okay,
20
so
years
20
ago.
years ago.
So
because our babies are only 20.
Right. So we've been
Yeah.
great friends and best friends for a couple decades.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't start out that we were besties. We were just like, oh, we're neighbors. And then we're walking partners. And then we're like, oh my gosh, I can't live without you. Because we've moved a bunch of times.
Yeah, we have.
To continue being neighbors.
We have.
Yeah.
You know, when I first met you, I think it was across the ditch because we had a ditch between us. And I just instantly was like, oh, I like her.
Yeah.
And then I had you over for coffee.
I remember that.
Yeah. And you told me a little bit about your background. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I know I even said it. I was like, that doesn't seem
right.
Yeah, it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
But I believed you, of course.
Yeah.
And the way you talked about Jesus, I was like, wow.
Yeah. I've told you this before, but I'll say it for the benefit of our listeners. When I was walking back from your house that day, that very first day, I was like, oh, fix it, Jesus. I don't know if I represented the Lord very well.
And Jesus was up there going, check, done. Because on my end, I was like, oh, wow, I really was attracted to that. And I don't, it's not like then instantly our friendship began. And
right.
But, friendship takes time.
It does.
Because there's, trust has to be built.
Mm-hmm.
And just because, I did feel that you were genuine, but just because someone says that the way you described Jesus, I can't even remember exactly. It was just the way you mentioned him and like he was right there, which he is. But anyway. Yeah. So just because someone says that doesn't mean the trust is instantly there.
Yeah, for sure. And I recall just being very unsure of the way that it came off. Mm-hmm. And I was happy to find out later that it came off positively.
Definitely.
And that you received it well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So that was the beginning of our friendship. And now that people think we're nuts. They do. And maybe we are.
Maybe we are.
Because Catherine moved out of the neighborhood, and then Ron and I moved next door to Catherine and Kenny again. Mm-hmm. And then we moved, and then they moved to be on our block. Mm-hmm. So we've moved multiple times in order to maintain neighborhood connection.
Yeah, because it's not just relationally, it's proximity.
Right.
That we care about.
Right. And now we're talking about where are we going to retire? Not where are you going to retire? Where are we?
Right. Because we'll get separation anxiety, which is a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're able to do life together.
Right.
Which is good.
But just so the listeners know, we do have a healthy relationship. It's not like you can't be without me.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We go to the same church and
same small group,
right?
Same health club,
same gym, same classes.
What else? Well, we do this podcast together.
We do. We pray together.
Oh yeah,
every week with a group. Mm-hmm. Like so, there's that.
So then same Bible study. Oh geez.
Yeah.
Same circle of friends, basically.
Yeah. And we just had yesterday. In Bible study, wasn't it the new gal who just joined our Bible study said, "Are you two sisters?" It had to be because everybody else knows us. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She looked at us and she's like, "Are you two sisters?" I'm like, "No, but we spend so much time together that we're starting to morph like old married couples."
Yeah.
And then I did tell her about how when we're traveling and doing shows, that people have said more than once. They've asked me if I'm Catherine's mother.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I can actually picture the places in which it's happened.
I bet
One time
can.
we were in line
for the... Let's hear it. Go ahead. We were in line.
For the airport, or for the, at the airport.
Yeah.
For our flight. Somebody said something then.
Yeah.
About, my mama. Mama!
Yeah. Like, just...
At work.
Yeah. Okay, enough. That's enough. Let's move on.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about friendship. We've got, we always like to give you a heads up of what the takeaways that our goal are these takeaways for you. Mm-hmm. So try to give you a little carrot so that you'll stay to the very end of the podcast. Mm-hmm. The first takeaway is we're going to give you a biblical look at friendship.
Yes.
So we're going to look at the Bible, see what it says about friendship and share that. Mm-hmm. And secondly, we're going to share how to build close friendships.
Yeah.
So hopefully that'll be some tips there for people of how they can build close friendships. Mm-hmm. And then finally, what to do when friendship requires forgiveness.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, got to decide if you want to give up.
Yeah.
Or is that friendship worth salvaging?
Yeah, that's very true. So we're going to get into all of that. But first, before we go there, we have to thank our sponsors, our faithful sponsors of the podcast.
Yeah, our first friends. Well, not our first friends, but I don't know.
They're our best male friends.
Yes, exactly. Our husbands.
Yes. Muffin and Pooh. Jinx. Yeah, they are 100% supportive of us doing this podcast. And because we're doing the podcast, we're not working, getting money, making money.
You work very hard.
Yes.
And I do too.
Yes, we do.
She's patting herself on the back.
Yeah. So thank you to the guys for what they do to support the podcast and to support us. Mm-hmm. It's great. All right. Well, let's roll, Catherine. Okay. Biblical look at friendship.
All right. So in the Bible.
Yes.
Jesus, he is our perfect example, right, of how a friend should be. He models that to his disciples. He models that to even just people that he encounters. Mm-hmm. He even tries to reveal that to the Pharisees, those that were against him and trying to kill him.
This is so true.
And ultimately, on the cross, he did do that.
Right.
Even,
with the forgiveness thing, for sure.
Exactly. So, sacrificing, he laid down his life.
He did.
So that's our biggest example. And when you think about how he, at the Last Supper, that he was telling them that he was going to wash their feet. And Peter, who was always...
He's so funny.
Yeah, he was always, like, spontaneous and thought that he knew more sometimes. Yeah. I mean, that was his personality. He's like, not mine. I'm not going to wash mine. Because, he couldn't just fathom the thought of Jesus washing his feet, because then their feet were extremely dirty.
Right.
They were always in sandals, and had sand. And that was like the lowest job that one could perform, washing their feet.
So that's a really good character trait in friendship, is humility. To humble yourself and be willing to serve your friend.
Right. Consider yourself lower than your friend. Put your, others before yourself.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying. So there's that. And one of my favorite stories too, in the book of 1 Samuel, and the story of Jonathan and David. And Jonathan, Jonathan was the king's son. So his father was Saul. And Jonathan gave up really his position because the Saul eventually becomes very jealous of David,
right,
who later becomes king. And anyway, their friendship was so strong that they were literally knit together. Now, theirs was a little bit more instantaneous, whereas friendships usually take a long time to grow. But their bond and the way they served each other, and the way Jonathan recognized in David his warrior spirit and his just everything about him, his character he admired. And what's his name? Jonathan himself was a warrior.
Yeah.
But anyway, he gave up his cloak, I think, which was a big deal, from his father, and gave it to David, and he supported him in every way.
Well, there he did almost the same thing that Jesus did in terms of he humbled himself in order to serve. So there's a cue. Ding, 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 ding. We have to be willing to humble ourselves and consider our friends' needs over our own, and be willing to serve.
Right. That's right.
Not be served.
Thing. Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly. I have a quote here from Charles Stanley, who he is a pastor and a doctor, and he has really good things to say about friendship. He actually preaches on 1 Samuel a lot.
Yeah.
We're
big fans of Dr. Stanley.
Definitely.
Love him.
Yeah. So in one of his sermons, Thinking Through Your Friendships, and it's from February 2015.
Okay.
And he says, I'm quoting him. A friend is a treasure, one who loves you as you are, one who sees not only who you are, but who you can become, one who's there to catch you when you fall, one with whom you can share your everyday experiences, one who accepts your worst but helps you become your best, someone who understands your past, believes in your future, and accepts you today just the way you are, someone who comes in when the whole world has gone out.
Wow.
And that does also line up with some biblical principles.
For sure.
Yeah. So I love that. I think that's a good way to sum up friendship.
Yeah, biblical friendship. This verse that in Ecclesiastes that I had true confession, I had to look up in the beginning of the Bible where it gives you where all the books are.
Well, it's not very often that
I don't
we go
there,
into
right?
Ecclesiastes.
Right, but then I got all confused on whether or not it was in the Old Testament or New Testament. And I'm like, wait a minute.
It's a momentary lapse.
I suppose. Thank you, Kat. All right, well, here it is. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 4. It's a common verse that's been quoted on friendship. But it's verses 9 and 10. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up, but pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up.
That goes to support this. Okay, so I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
You're right. That is quoted a lot. So doing the research for this podcast, part of me was like, I don't need to do any research.
I got this.
But that's my pride.
Yeah.
No, but when I was doing that, I found an article written by somebody in Psychology Today. And his argument was that, no, you do not need a close friend. You need to have some communication with people to get things done. That's literally what he said. You have to communicate because you have to get things done. And so his argument is that we only say those things to make people feel better, and that if one doesn't have a friend, then they're just going to feel worse about themselves. So he's saying it's okay if you don't have a close friend. Okay. It's not okay. It absolutely goes against, in Proverbs alone, the book of Proverbs in the Bible, over and over, there's a lot to be said about how God feels about relationships. Yeah. And he holds that, he esteems that. Yeah. In very high regard. So it goes against that completely. So I will not be using Psychology Today anymore for any research.
Right. No. The truth of the Bible is the truth. If you fall down, aren't you better off if you got somebody to help you up? Doesn't that make sense?
Someone you trust.
Yeah.
Right.
So there you go. Done.
Check.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the biblical look at friendship, or are we moving on to our second point?
We can move on.
All right. Next up is how to build close friendships.
Okay. So this is again from Charles Stanley. Same sermon.
Yep.
And I wanted to say he gets the giggles toward the end, and it's so fun. Yeah. To listen to and watch because it's a YouTube thing. Yeah. And he's kind of a serious guy, but he has a sense of humor.
He definitely has a sense of humor.
But he stays on point. Yeah. But on this particular one, he almost can't get through it. And he's recalling when he was in English class, when he was a young man, in high school or whatever it was. And he's recalling, and it's really not even that funny.
Yeah, it's just funny to him.
It tickles him because it's him remembering his friend.
Well, we'll put the link to that in the show notes.
Right. So what he says about how to build friendships. One, what do you got to do? We said this already. You have to spend time together.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Because how do you get to really know anybody? How do you get to know God? How do you get to know Jesus if you're not spending time in the Word or in prayer or with your friend?
Right. Just like we said at the beginning, you and I spent time together because we wanted to get out of the house at night when the guys would come home. It's like, I'm out. I'm going for a walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It was great bonding time.
It was.
Yeah.
But it was also good to be out of the house away from all of the hubbub.
Yeah.
And just chat. Be able to finish a sentence and such.
Well, that's the next point. Next, how to build a lasting relationship. Talk to each other.
That's right.
Right. On the third one, be willing to cry or laugh together.
I just learned about laughter. I can't remember if I've shared this with you.
Just learned?
Okay, there's all kinds of stuff you can learn about laughter. There's our scientific studies that have been done, and this one is the point that I just learned, is that laughter is a social bonding. It's like super glue in a friendship. So when friends laugh together, it creates some sort of bonding with them that is absent if the laughter's not there. It has a unique kind of way to bond. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing just the other day in the car. You said something. I felt like it came kind of like not abrupt.
Yeah.
But a little bit forceful. And I was like, yeah.
I think I was changing the subject. And I think I was like saying something like really, okay, we're driven. We're going to get these goals done.
It just took me off. Yeah, it took me off guard. I was like, what happened? We were all peaceful and the trees are rustling and birds are singing. And then Tracy's like, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, when you're friends, it's like, think about when you're a little kid and little kids get laughing together.
Yeah.
Laughter is the only communicative tool that is infectious, contagious, right? With the exception of maybe crying. Like if you see someone crying, you could feel that empathy and you could begin to tear up. But laughter, so I guess I want to use the term positive emotion. In a positive way, laughter is the only one that really can like bring people together in a unique, special way. So anyway, scientific fact.
We've had a lot of laughs.
Yes. 20
Remember
years.
when we got pulled over?
Yes.
Over in
I do. And we were filming the police officer. I was filming. You were driving, so I'm just saying. I wasn't pulled over. You were pulled over.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't speeding. Far from it. I think I had to bust a light out over my license plate. Oh, yeah. No, that was in Orland because we got pulled over twice.
Right.
I don't know.
On the way home from Bible study.
Yeah, the way home. Oh, my goodness. So funny. Yeah. Anyway, we had the giggles. We couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Not in front of the police officer, though. We pulled it together. It was under control.
Yeah.
Ish.
I would add that.
Okay.
I love this one. Share accomplishments.
Yeah.
You share one another. Show your friend that you're happy for his accomplishment or her accomplishment. Yeah. It means a lot.
It sure does.
Yeah. Share trials. So it's interesting. It doesn't say share their burden. You can't completely share the burden, but you can share the trial and you can be there for one another.
Yeah. Support. Mm-hmm. Encouragement is huge. Just to know that you're not alone in a trial.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is, even if your friend doesn't have right words or the solution,
right,
whatever, just that you're there and you're listening and you care.
I think that it's huge, and everybody goes through trials. Every person. And when you and I both lost our dads within 6 months of each other, it wasn't like we were happy that we were both in that situation, but it certainly did help that we could relate to one another.
And there was a lot more trials, before that.
Yeah.
Be thankful.
How about it, Catherine?
Right. Thank you for asking me to help you with this podcast, because you didn't have to ask me. I am literally, I'm sure the listeners could tell,
that they love
not equipped.
You're equipped. You're totally equipped. You're just not comfortable. You're getting more comfortable the longer you go.
Or confident.
Yeah, but it's coming.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you're still here. Or is that just because once you make a commitment, you can't? That's it. I can't say no.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super glad that you said yes, because as we said in the beginning, I think we said it, or it might have been in the prayer, that Mike Smith, my manager.
It was in the prayer.
It was in the prayer. We pray, folks.
Mm-hmm.
We pray before every podcast that our words would be from the Lord and not from us. And in the prayer, I was grateful for Mike, who suggested to me, you have to start a podcast, because I was sitting on the sidelines during the pandemic. No comedy events, no events of any sort. And he said, you should get a podcast going. So then I was like, Catherine, I can't just talk to myself, so get in here.
But you could. I know you could, but
I could, anyway, but it would be boring.
But thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Be thoughtful. I know some of these things seem like common sense, but they're not really. And we all need these reminders.
For sure.
Yeah. Be thoughtful. Tolerant. So, in this list, Dr. Stanley, not once did he have, like, as a bullet point, forgive. I thought that was like, what? That is so not like him, to not have that. But he does say it in the be tolerant portion, meaning we have to forgive, and we have to be tolerant of some of our, one another's habits or misgivings.
Or mistakes. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just human trying to put one foot in front of the other.
Right. And he says touch. And he's like, now, because he's talking about close friendships. So he doesn't mean, go get all touchy-feely. He doesn't mean that. He uses the example that there's some people that, you just give a handshake to. He's like, but my good friends, it's not good enough. Yeah. He hugs them. So that's his point. He says, who those people are, though, who you can't hug or you can't touch. Yeah. He knows. He did acknowledge that, because there are those people.
When Catherine and I leave each other after every single day, I oftentimes say, don't miss me.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It is funny. Because I'm going to see you in 6 hours. Okay.
Well, sometimes less than that.
I know.
Like, was it the day before yesterday?
Sunday.
Yeah. We did something, and then we were going to have dinner later.
We went to church together. We sat together in church.
Oh, yeah.
And then, did we go to lunch together? Oftentimes we do.
Yeah.
I don't think we did Sunday. But we reconvened and got together at the coffee shop to work on the podcast.
Oh, right. That's right. Oh, my goodness.
Then we left there and we went here, didn't we? We come back here? Or we tried to go. No, we were done.
No, we went in my back.
Oh, that's right. We went to your backyard.
Yeah.
And then I'm leaving and her husband is there and he's like, okay, well, have a good day or
have a good week.
Yeah, have a good week. He said, I'll see you in a few minutes. Because I came home and I got my husband and we went back down there for dinner.
Right. Oh, lots of fun. And then Kenny, after you left, because you had things you had to do.
Right.
For the Zoom,
video thing.
Thing. And so Kenny and Ron hung out for a while.
Yes, they did.
And I cleaned up, and I went out there for a few more minutes and just sat on the lounge couch thing, and I just let them talk, and I fiddled with my phone or something. But then I got up again.
Yeah.
But anyways,
good times.
Yeah. So, okay, and be transparent.
Don't be fake.
Right.
Yeah.
Be transparent. Be willing to be transparent.
Yeah. It takes a lot of confidence to be transparent.
Yeah.
So in order for me to be transparent in front of you, I have to trust that you're not going to judge me.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That should be on here. Don't judge each other. And then last on here is be truthful.
Authentic, genuine.
Be truthful. I have a bonus one too. The bonus I got from advice on another one of his sermons about strong friendships. And in it he says love sacrificially. So I think that's a bonus. We'll put the link in.
It is a bonus, and you started this whole, the biblical look at friendship talking about Jesus. If there's anyone on the universe who has loved sacrificially, it's our Lord. So we're never going to be called to that level of sacrifice. No one will.
Right.
Not to that level.
Not to that level, but you can still love sacrificially. You can give up something for your friend. Yeah. So in those, I say those, it's 2 more sermons that you can listen to or watch or both, whatever, online. And it's about strong friendships. And he talks about wise friendships. And he talks about how and what causes a friendship to go south or, go sour. So, and he's got some advice on that. Okay. And it's really good.
Well, we'll link all of that in the notes. Well, speaking of friendships going sour, do you have anything else to say about building close friendships, or can we go into what happens? Why are you looking at me like that?
Nothing.
Well, because our third point is to talk about what to do when friendship needs forgiveness. So, when things do sour in a friendship or things go south, what do you do? How do you handle it? And what would you say, Catherine?
Well, I would say that take a good look at yourself.
Yeah.
What happened? Yeah. Is the friendship worth salvaging? And kind of no matter who is at fault. Yeah. That you just find it within yourself to forgive yourself or forgive your friend, or both.
Yeah, and oftentimes with conflict, as we know, we're grown, mostly. Conflict is a two-way street. It's not usually just one person who has created the offense, usually. Usually there's a couple, back and forth.
Even if it feels like it's just one person, probably isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can feel like they're the one that's creating this hubbub, whatever it is. But I liked what you said, to take a look inside and say, okay, what can I own here?
Mm-hmm.
And even if I didn't intend to be offensive or to be dismissive, or even if the intention wasn't there, that doesn't mean that the assault wasn't there.
Right.
It was still there. It's just that you didn't intend it.
Feelings were hurt.
Yeah. So to look inward and to own, I'm sorry that I was dismissive, or that I was insulting, or that I was whatever it was.
Yeah, and I think another thing too that's really important is that one doesn't have to be right. Totally just take that off the table.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter in a friendship. It doesn't. Isn't there a Michael Jackson song? It doesn't matter who's wrong or right.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, there is.
Just
it's been a while.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's in her head. All right. Let's go. This verse here, we were going to share it later, but let's share it now because we have another verse for later. But it fits right here. And it's Proverbs 17:17. And it says, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So, it's hard to love at all times.
Right.
But that's what we're called to do.
That's right. It doesn't say love sometimes, or love with the exception of this.
Right.
Or with the exception of, well, they were in the wrong. No.
Right.
Love at all times.
But with that, I'm going to give a caveat, because I've had experiences in the past, and I'm sure that our listeners have too, and you probably have too, where you've been hurt by a friend. And when you're hurt by a friend, Jesus was identified as the one to be put on the cross. The kiss from a friend.
Yeah, kiss, right.
Talk about the ultimate betrayal.
Right.
And so when a close friend hurts you like that, it cuts deep to the quick. It really does. If it was somebody that you didn't care about, it'd be like, who cares? Whatever, say what you want. But when a friend hurts you,
hurts way more.
It really does. And there are times when, you may not be able to salvage the friendship in the way that it was before the hurt. Because you can't undo. I look at it like this, like relationships are fragile. It's like holding a very fragile, precious
ornament.
Yes. And if you drop it, you might be able to put it back together, but it's not going to be the same. So that being said, like Catherine said, make sure that if you have a problem with a friendship, look and see if it's worth saving. Because maybe you need to forgive and love, but from a distance.
And that's okay. Right.
I think it's okay. I've been in that situation before where I've been hurt, and I did confront, the person who hurt me, and it just wasn't supposed. We just weren't supposed to be close friends. We were supposed to be friendly, but not friends.
Right.
So I think there's a healthy boundary that you set then, because my mom used to say this. We talked about this earlier today. My mom used to say, if you can count your really good friends on one hand, you're blessed.
Yeah.
Or something like that, or good for you.
My mom used to say, you don't need more than a handful. She used to say very similar, but her main thing that she always drove in is if you have one or two really good friends, it's good.
Yeah.
Because that's all you really need.
Right. And I don't think it's really possible for us to keep up with, oodles and oodles of relationships.
Not when you're talking about really being involved in one another's lives.
Yeah.
No. It's...
No. So we wanted to just touch on that just a little bit, that when friendship does kind of go south, sometimes it's okay, to not remain friends like you were. But still, the forgiveness has to be there for your own sake.
Yeah.
And for their sake.
Well, I think sometimes God has us in seasons of friendships with different people.
Yeah.
And they were a good friend during a certain season. And then sometimes there is an end to it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, what else did we want to cover today, Catherine?
Well, you know what? Just because I glanced down at it, I was also looking at the Mayo Clinic and what they had to say about friendship. And I just want to add that they say that it's good for your health as well.
Yeah.
So this is what the Mayo Clinic said. They said Friends play a significant role in promoting overall health. Adults with strong social support have a reduced risk of many significant health problems, including depression, high blood pressure, and an unhealthy body mass index, your BMI. Studies have even found that older adults with a rich social life are likely to live longer than their peers with fewer connections. What's that they say it just came to mind, at the end of It's a Wonderful Life, where George Bailey opens up his Mark
Tom
Twain.
Sawyer. It's Tom Sawyer
book.
And it says something like, a man is not a failure who has friends, or something like that.
Yeah, and he uses the word rich in there too, because George Bailey was really struggling with some money issues.
Yeah. But it's true. Rich. And when you think about it too, like think about when we get older, and you've had some experiences where you worked inside of assisted living places, and depression, loneliness is such a horrible condition, and I don't think it adds to your health. So it makes sense that Mayo Clinic would say, if you have a good network of friends, it's going to be better for you. Definitely.
I think a lot of people in those situations are pining for the friends that they had that may have passed on.
Yeah.
And I think that's too why a lot of seniors get in these communities where there's a lot of social activity.
They can connect.
Exactly.
You know, one thing on the list of things of how to build close friendships, I don't remember if you said this. If you did, forgive me. But if you didn't, I think we should always not take for granted a good friend. Don't take your relationships for granted.
Yeah, I think that's on the be thankful spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to be intentional about making sure that you nurture and invest in these relationships.
Exactly. Because the value you put on your friendship it's revealed in how you are a friend or how you treat a friend.
Do you I'm laughing. Do you remember the time when you were working on those lockers that we bought? And
yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
So we lived next door to each other, and were you painting or sanding, or you were doing something?
No,
but the lockers fell over on her, and she was trapped underneath there.
Yeah, and we're talking a set of lockers, like school lockers or gym lockers, metal.
And she couldn't get out. And somehow you had your phone.
It totally fell on me. Oh, my gosh.
And you called me, and I just dropped whatever I was doing. And I was running from my house, which
save her.
I was like, I'm coming. We used to live out in the country, so it was 2.5 acres each property. So for me to go next door, I had to run down my driveway, which was long, and then run across, the acre, whatever, the ditch, blah, blah, blah.
Unless you jumped across the big ditch.
I didn't do that, Catherine. Let's not get crazy. But I remember running, and I'm running as fast as I can, which is not very fast. And I'm like, I'm coming. Don't worry. And yeah. And I get over there and lift the lockers like Hercules.
You did, yeah.
Saved your butt.
In my chest.
Yeah.
Like it was crushing me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, she's...
I knew you were going to say thank you. I knew it. I could feel it. She's about to say it. Here it comes. All right.
Oh, I love how you beat me to the punch.
Always.
Yeah. Wait.
All right.
Wait. Always.
Oh, I'm gonna tell.
I got something too.
Okay.
What do you have?
I want to tell the audience about when I scare you.
Oh.
So
that's not very friendly.
One of the things that I do with Catherine is I don't know why I do this. I'm sorry. I sneak up on her. She's real jumpy, so she's easy to scare.
Yeah.
And I think I was, I don't even know if I intentionally meant to. Yeah, I did. When I got into your car and I was hiding.
Well, by then you knew that I was jumpy.
Okay.
So yes.
So maybe at first I discovered it by accident or whatever.
That's right.
But I have a collection of videos of me scaring Catherine, and I'm going to have Caleb, my son, put it on my YouTube channel. So, yeah, sorry, Kat. It's probably going to go viral.
It is so crazy because I don't know how I fall into it. Actually, today when I walked into her house, because we were going to record as we are.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to scare her because I didn't knock this time. And I thought, I can't because I'll scare myself in the process.
Oh, so funny.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say something sentimental.
Oh, go ahead.
I thought it was...
What? Go ahead, say
I thought it was so, sweet and fun and whatever when we were getting ready to create this podcast.
Yeah.
And you bought those Friends mugs.
Oh, yeah.
The matching Friends mugs, which we're not using today.
Yeah.
But I thought that was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
We were at the store and I was hiding them from you because we were shopping together because we're always together.
I know. So she has bought me some.
What did I buy you?
You bought me some best friend mugs.
Oh, yeah, I have.
And I think 2 of the times I was with you.
Yes.
One at Cracker Barrel.
Yep.
One at some
truck stop in Iowa. I remember that one.
Mega, yeah. Truck stops. Right.
We were going to Orange. Was it called Orange City?
Orange City.
Oh, that was a fun trip.
Yeah. Or was it? Is that where they had the Dutch?
Yes.
Community?
Wasn't it called Orange City, Iowa?
Yeah.
I think it's Orange something.
Yeah.
But it was a fun trip.
Mm-hmm. Was.
All right. Bring it, Lord. Bring some more fun like that.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I think we've pretty much covered everything that we wanted to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
I'm just going to
Go
say,
ahead.
I just found this quote that I jotted down. I don't know where I got it from.
Okay.
But it says, friends come, friends go, but a true friend is there to watch you grow.
Oh, I love that.
Sounds like a little kid's book.
It does. When, of course, you know that I have 5 sons.
Uh-huh.
And all the while they were growing up, I used to make them recite this poem whenever they were fighting.
Aww.
That I made up. And the poem goes like this: a friend may come and go, but a brother is always a bro.
Oh.
Which is actually opposite of that Proverbs 17, because that one says a brother is for adversity. Mm-hmm. I'm like, not in this case. That's taken it out of context.
Yeah, definitely.
But the point is, the hope is that our children will remain friends as siblings.
That's right.
That was the point of that. Plus, I wanted them to quit fighting. So,
mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's share this closing inspirational verse from Colossians chapter 3.
Yes.
Verse 13.
I think it's 12 and 13, isn't it?
I don't know. I only wrote down 13.
Oh, 13. Yep. You're right.
Okay. That's all right. It says, bear with each other and forgive whatever grievances you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you.
There it is.
That's everything right there. So just stick that in your brain. Forgiveness. How are you going to get more friends? Forgiveness.
That's right.
And then we have a call to action. And
yes.
the call to action is?
Read the book of John. Because in the book of John, there's so much displayed there of how Jesus loved, how he loved his friends, his disciples, how he I don't know. So the book of John is written by John, one of his disciples, and he literally has called himself the one that Jesus loved.
Yeah, he had that close connection with Jesus.
He really did have that close connection. And there's a long prayer toward the end, and Jesus, he prays for his friends, his disciples. And it's a really good book if you don't really know the whole gospel truth about Jesus. There's a lot there.
So take that to heart and take that as an assignment. Read the book of John. And our next episode, so excited.
She is.
Our next episode is on purse psychology.
Yeah.
Catherine's not too thrilled about it.
Well, but I can be.
You will be.
Oh,
you will be.
Okay.
You will be.
Yeah.
Because we're going to find out what your purse says about you. All right. Okay. So stay tuned, humor consumers.
We're not sure how we came up with that one.
No, because we brainstormed this whole list when we were on a road trip together.
Yes.
Going to Florida
with
my family. All right. Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraaf.
I'm still Catherine.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.